What's up, everybody, man? It's your boy, Mr. Duga, coming at y'all with another video, man. And today, man, I'm going to talk about the Toronto Raptors beating the Milwaukee Bucks in Game 6 to advance to their first NBA Finals in franchise history, man. Before I get started, man, a couple of quick shout outs, man. Shout out to Shara Denise Sterling for my intro pictures and my intro beat. And shout out to my cousin Chantel for hooking me up with this subscribe to my YouTube channel t-shirt, Shout out to y'all, man. But for me, man, this feels kind of good, man. I'm a Heat fan, obviously, but if you go back and watch my videos throughout the season, man, not just before the playoffs, but during the season, I said, I like the Toronto Raptors to come out of the East, man. I know Milwaukee was winning all these games, and I know the Philadelphia 76ers got all the talent, and I know the Boston Celtics, had the experience of the deep run last year, and how it had Kyrie and Gordon Hayward coming back. But I felt like I looked at this Toronto Raptors team, man, and I looked at Kawhi Leonard, and I felt like he was the difference. He's like the closest thing to LeBron James, in the Eastern Conference, yo. And shout out to them, man. They got it done, man. And right before this series, I picked Toronto to beat Milwaukee in 6. Now, granted, it didn't look great after the first 2 games, but I'm just like, I felt like Toronto was a better and more playoff battle-tested team, yo. And it proved itself, throughout this series. I mean, the biggest thing is, with Toronto, man, Kawhi Leonard is, like I said, man, he looked like Michael Jordan out there, man. When you look at his offensive repertoire, when you look at his tenacity on the defensive end, I mean, this guy is just absolutely sensational, man. And then when you look at a guy like Kyle Lowry, he has his playoff blunders here and there, which is well documented. But he's a talented player. He could shoot the 3, and he's a bulldog and he could get to the lane. Even though he had a complete awful series out there looking like the Monstars done took away his talent, where was this version of Danny Green in 2013 and 2014 against my Heat in the finals when he couldn't miss nothing? You feel me? Thanks, Danny. But even though he gave them absolutely nothing this series, he capable of shooting the 3 ball, and he has, solid defense, and he has, a history of long playoff runs with the San Antonio Spurs. Ibaka been in the NBA Finals and in a couple of conference finals. Marc Gasol been in the conference finals, yo. I mean, they got experience on their side, man. And when you look at Milwaukee, man, with the exception of George Hill, and anybody else I might be missing out on, none of them really got experience going deep in the playoffs like that. So I looked at that, and I looked at Toronto. I looked at Kawhi Leonard, man, as the difference. This guy is amazing. Yo, he does it on both ends. He could go up and lock down your best player on one end and then come down and drop 30. I mean, not many people in the league could do that. I mean, that's just amazing for him, man. I mean, that was big time, man. For them to be down 0, especially that Game 3, man. Game 3 easily could have got away from them. And they battled, and they clawed their way to that victory, man. And it started the whole thing, man. Game 4, they came out there and put the pedal to the metal. Game 5, Milwaukee came out, jumped on them first half. Jumped on them third quarter. Just like tonight, first quarter, jumped all on them. Jumped on them third quarter, had a 15-point lead in the third. And Toronto just kept fighting. They started putting on the clamps defensively. And offensively, man, you got guys man, shout out to Fred VanVleet, man, who has not played well these playoffs until the last couple of games. Shout out to him. He had the birth of his son, and he just started straight hooping out there, man. Last game, 7 for 9 from 3-point range, and tonight he knocked down a couple of threes, man. Norman Powell, yo, who this whole series has been big time for Toronto, man. Serge Ibaka had a couple of really nice games in that, man. And this is coming with, not great production from Marc Gasol and not any production from Danny Green, yo. That's big time for Toronto, man. And I know with Milwaukee, man, everybody all feared it there. They got all this depth in this and all this other stuff. But I'm like, man, when it comes to the playoffs, man, all that extra depth don't matter. It's about the 5 people that's on the court at the moment. Can they all produce and get it done? And as you can see, they coach Budenholzer, I think his name. He went away from like a guy like Mirotic, man. You know, who early on was doing his thing. And you know, he completely stopped playing him. He took him out the start lineup for game 5, hardly played him in that game, and didn't play him at all tonight, I don't think. You know, and for Milwaukee, man, you know, shout out to them, man. It was a big-time season for them, man. It was a great season for them, yo. I do believe that Giannis should win the MVP award, man. I feel like it would be a travesty if they don't give it to him. I believe that he should and supposed to win the MVP. So shout out to him, man. He had a big-time season, man. Shout out to Khris Middleton. You know, he a solid player. You know, and just that whole team, man. That head coach, their organization. You know, they got a great building chip with Giannis, man. The difference in this series, man, is that Kawhi is a complete player right now. Like, Kawhi is complete. The one thing I kind of question about Kawhi's game is his passing ability, but the last couple of games, he passed the ball pretty doggone well. You know, whereas Giannis got a lot of work to do, man. Now, granted, I look at him, I see the hunger in his eyes, and I see his work ethic. I believe he is going to be that complete player in a couple of years or so. You know, he's missing a pull-up jumper. When he drives to the lane, he either got to kick it out or force it. You know, it'll be nice if he could drive and stop on the dime and pull up and shoot a jump shot. You know, he's missing a post-up game. Like, when he gets it down, like, he's always getting it at the elbow and trying to force his way to the rim when he could just catch it with his back to the basket and make post moves. You know, and obviously he's missing a consistent, you know, three-point shot or long shot. But I believe in Giannis, man. I believe he's going to get all of those things down pat. You know, Eric Bledsoe, man, does not have a good jump shot. You know, he had a bad series. And that cost him this series, yo. I think Middleton is a solid player. I think Lopez showed me a lot. He's a good player. You know, and Brogdon, I like Brogdon a lot. Brogdon is a really good player. You know, Milwaukee got some pieces to work with, man. I mean, I feel like they're going to be back contending in the East for the next however many years to come, man. And Giannis is going to be an MVP candidate, you know, pretty much every year here on out, as long as he stays healthy, man. But tonight, man, shout out to the Toronto Raptors, man. Y'all made me look like I know what I'm talking about. You know, I picked them all season long to come out of the Eastern Conference. I picked them right before this series to beat Milwaukee in 6, and they beat them in 6. So shout out to Toronto for getting for their first NBA Finals and making me look like I know a little something about basketball, yo. But with that being said, man, that's all I got for y'all tonight. Appreciate y'all checking out the video. Go and give me a subscribe, man. I'm going to have NBA content, man, throughout the season, yo. Y'all have a blessed one. Let's go Heat.